How they prayed, gathered celebrities for rallies and played the blame game. Now the two presidential hopefuls in Ukraine are crossing their fingers as voting is underway in the final runoff. Well, let's get the latest now from RT Sean Thomas, who's in Kiev for us live. Sean, polling stations have been open for a few hours now. What's the situation on the ground?
Certainly an interesting one, Kerry, that is for sure. Of course, this is Ukrainian presidential politics, which means it is interesting indeed. At this point, we know that the two candidates have voted. Viktor Yanukovych, just a short time ago, voted in Kiev here, and also Yulia Tymoshenko went to her hometown in eastern Ukraine, and she cast her ballot there. So we know that they voted, and we're pretty sure who they voted for. But if you take a look back at some of the events that have happened just today in the past few hours, it has been quite entertaining. We've had at the polling place where Viktor Yanukovych cast his ballot, there was a protest, and nothing makes your message more clear than nudity, and in this case some half-naked girls tried to make their way into the polls shouting protest slogans and holding banners saying things like "Stop raping Ukraine," a very strong message there. Also, "Stop lying," and "Stop selling our vote." Basically making their message very clear that they want change and they want something different to be taking place, and they want this presidential election to happen. They also had signs that said the countdown to the war starts now. What that means exactly is not exactly clear, but the organizers of this protest say that they chose this specific spot because it is the polling place where Viktor Yanukovych cast his ballot. So they knew that there would be cameras at this polling place. They knew that there would be media there and presence so that they could get their message out to a wider audience. And again, this happened just within the first hour that the polls opened here in Kiev. Now, something else that's interesting, if you look at the building of the Ukraine Electoral Commission's building, they are right now having people gather there, supporters of Viktor Yanukovych, around 300 we're told, people gathering there. So far, very peaceful, but signs nonetheless that people are gathering and preparing, because both Yulia Tymoshenko and Viktor Yanukovych have said that if things don't go their way, they do plan on taking their supporters and rallying in the streets.
Yes, controversy as always. Now, it's too early to start talking about the actual results, but where do the candidates stand in terms of public support? What are the latest predictions?
Well, very close indeed, and in fact a lot closer than in the first round of elections just more than a couple of weeks ago. At that point, Viktor Yanukovych won the election, came in first place with a little bit more than 10% more votes, more of the counted votes than Yulia Tymoshenko. The latest information that we have ranges anywhere between 7 and 10% lead for Viktor Yanukovych in terms of public opinion at that point. However, it must be pointed out that Yulia Tymoshenko has always done better on election day than the predictors have suggested. So she can't be counted out at this point in time, and it's expected to be a very close race. Something also interesting to point out is here in Ukraine there's another option, a third option if you will, and it is called none of the above. It's a little bit different from saying none of the above, but against all is basically what it is. It's actively casting your vote against the two candidates. In the first round of elections, only 2% of the voting public took this option, but experts are saying that it could be as much as 18% in this round of elections. One of those reasons being Tagipko, who is a presidential candidate in the first round, is urging his supporters, and he came in third place, so he does have quite a bit of supporters. He's urging them to take this option and vote against all.
Now, this is a runoff election, and the campaign has been a long and bitter one. What stands out, Sean?
Basically, the bitterness is what stands out, Kerry. In fact, it has been a long and hard-fought campaign, as you mentioned, from the very, very beginning. These two players know each other well. Yulia Tymoshenko and Viktor Yanukovych have been rivals for a long time. In fact, back in the 2004-2005 Orange Revolution election, Viktor Yanukovych won, and Yulia Tymoshenko was part of the Orange Revolution team that ousted him from the presidency at that time. So know, these two have a long-standing history. From the very beginning, they've been setting the stage to have a war in the court system as well, meaning they're both making allegations of trying to tamper with the election, trying to rig the election. Some of the events that stand out, of course, are a group of people tried to take seize of the printing facility that prints the ballots. Neither side claims responsibility, but both sides say that it was the other side trying to sway the election on one level or another. Another thing that has happened very recently in this past week, just before the elections, Yanukovych's Party of Regions pressed through the parliament basically the idea that there should be changes in the election laws just days before the actual election took place. Tymoshenko says that this is an obvious attempt to try and sway things his way and that it should not be tolerated. Both are making political plays even at this point to protest the election results already. The people, of course, don't want this. The people are saying that they want change. They don't want this to be settled in the streets, that they want this to be actually handled democratically. And, of course, as the next few hours of today play out and as tomorrow's the election results become more clear, we'll have a better picture of whether that will happen or not.
Yes, eventful as always. Sean Thomas following the election race in Kiev. Thank you for now.